and this is a quote, "The ultimate ownership of all property is in the state. Individual so-called ownership is only by virtue of government, i.e. law, amounting to mere user, and use must be in accordance with law and subordinate to all the necessities of the state." End quote. If operating control of a registered organization, and you can find that under UCC 9-102 in the definitions, I think it's number 73. If operating control of a registered organization has been seized or confiscated for public benefit/operations, said confiscation too must be subject to liability. In U.S. versus Pee Wee Cole 1951 offers the perfect language. Quote, "Whatever might have been Pee Wee's losses had it been left free to exercise its own business judgment, the crucial fact is that the government chose to intervene by taking possession and operating control. By doing so, it became the proprietor and, in absence of contrary arrangements, was entitled to the benefits subject to the liabilities which that status involves." So, of course, the key in that is, end quote, by the way, "in absence of contrary arrangements," or contrary implied tacit agreements, or you understand. I can't think now. If the United States seized/confiscated operating control of the people's property, i.e. their labor, no problem with subject to liability or the rule of usufruct. That is the law. It is not my law. That is part of the public officials' mandated laws that also must be followed. Otherwise, it could be deemed easily at a common sense level involuntary enslavement, intentionally lacking full disclosure." Wow. I write pretty good, you have to admit. Yes, we do have the free will with the right to unlimited contract, but can free will be used voluntarily, knowingly, and intentionally if one party fails to disclose all the facts? This discussion can go further down into the rabbit hole on the matter if one is presumed a trustee or an employee for a public trust, should one not be compensated? The discussion becomes easily circular without end to get off the merry-go-round. So you see, if you're going to be a trustee for the public, you have to be paid. There's a presumption you're a trustee. It all is just circular. It just goes nowhere. At a very basic common sense principle, moral law, and inclusive of man's law, one cannot take property, i.e. one's labor, one's natural rights, without just compensation. If compensation exists, what is compensation? Then in what species can this compensation or debt be paid? And in parentheses I put, and honestly I'm not looking to be paid, as what is the thing in tender of a payment of a debt owed could be demanded of any public official with an oath of office. You have to realize they swear to uphold the U.S. Constitution. Well, does it mean only the U.S. part of the Constitution that's convenient? An available remedy as outlined under the Lieber Code, Article 38, may yet be another clue available to the spoliated owner status. And this is Article 38. private property unless forfeited by crimes or by offenses of the owner. And in parentheses, I put claims against said United States trust property, making a claim, I am the name, end of parentheses, that's my comment, can be seized only by way of military necessity for the support or other benefit. Hold on. Of the Army or of the United States. If the owner has not fled, the commanding officer will cause receipts to be given which may serve the spoliated owner to obtain indemnity. What's that? Usufruct. If the birth certificate or receipt was issued without any instructions, warnings, liability, disclosure, etc., then by logic it must be intentional and could be deemed fraud in the inducement through the user's false presumption by word or act, as he is held liable for a debt not his, and at a profit to those failing to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Is this not a form of servitude, a violation of natural rights? The next question is why? Another question, is there profit to be made and by whom? If yes, then to whom can I address this matter? Or will or can it be discussed? And you can see 18 U.S.C. 472. In essence, what they're doing, if you go into court, the whole thing is monetized, securitized, as best as to my understanding. And there's a case I have where as soon as this was mentioned, the whole case dropped, and that was at the federal level. To continue. Logically, no one can ever expect everyone to have a level of understanding equal to an attorney, yet the internal system presumes this with what appears to be clear intent to misinform, confuse, confound, distort, entrap, unsettle, make anxious, rely upon, subject to an appearance of justice, fairness, and equality. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. The fact remains the appearance is not reality. We have all heard ignorance of the law is no excuse. All persons are deemed to know the law, and of course everything you say can and will be used against you. I see it's getting dark in here. 1 second. Is that better? Yeah, that's a little bit better. 1 second. There we go. Sorry about that. I get going. Please understand, I'm not complaining nor angry. It goes well beyond this. I am confused to understand. And again, that's underlined in italics. What is the end game of all this? I am not talking solely about me, but the ones reading this, their offspring, and for all men and women in general, not just in the United States, but the world. I can see no value in taking advantage of someone who is ignorant, yet this is clearly how the internal system profits, in the style of the Uniform Commercial Code. And what I find more troubling, the mere mention of this subject receives no response. The information documents are readily available, but for some reason will not be discussed. A great example can be found in IRS Manual 6209, which classifies Forms 1099, 1098, and W-2 as Tax Class 5 forms. Tax Class 5 forms are estate and gift tax forms. A common sense question to be asked, if one receives these tax forms, yearly, and everyone does, whose estate is one administrating, or is one gifting money to the United States? And the questioning can go even further down the rabbit hole. And where does that rabbit hole eventually lead? The Federal Reserve. The 1984 Grace Commission provides a clue to the reality. To try and be excessively clear, I would gladly accept and commit to this contract trust agreement conditioned upon the rule of usufruct as written on the last line of the Declaration of Independence. And for support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. End quote. How I read this is the forefathers, in order to protect themselves, in parentheses, a person they use but do not own, and parentheses, and their dominion given to them by the Creator, they pledged everything to the mutual trust, placing all property in the state. I can understand this and can easily go with the flow, as everything goes into one pot, and then when a claim comes, the authorized trustees, similar to subrogation, take care of the claim, not the people, as the people are not authorized to settle the claim, or settle the claim. From my understanding, the forefathers pledged to each other as men, meaning they gave up ownership of titles, or names in today's jargon, and put themselves titles in a trust they created that formed their government. They unconditionally surrendered everything to the trust. Since this trust was created, the only way there would be a violation of the trust if an individual's claim was made against the trust. So, obviously, you see, when we say, I'm so-and-so, it's a violation of the trust. That's how I read it. I wanted to provide some very minor, interesting documentation reading. No specific order, including one page of the federal declaratory judgment, which I did truly out of frustration. I filed last year, which I had to dismiss because of the threat of criminal contempt of court. The Commission can take a look online if there is interest. I realized my error, as I should have put the suit under seal, but I seriously doubt that would do anything more for what I was seeking. Again, right, wrong, or draw, the threat of criminal contempt of court provides a sense where brotherhood exists, and no reasonable inquiry can be found in and among just us. And justice is not, it's two separate words, just us. I filed this declaratory judgment after years of contacting the very top public official, the Pope down to the local county probate judge, and just about every public official in between, looking for answers with the intent to deliver and surrender the equity required to set off claims against the charges that increase the national debt. When one uses a name along with Federal Reserve notes, does this not increase the national debt? If you think this is all crazy, I fully agree. But is it incorrect? If I have erred, I ask for forgiveness and at a minimum to be corrected. If I am correct, I ask for your assistance in moving this matter forward. This self-study itself has been like peeling an onion. I never get to the core or resolve. After the federal lawsuit, I realized they ain't gonna budge ever. Is there a way to get through that door for resolution, even at a minimum to at least discuss this? It seems that all we the people have been left is a status of spoliated owner with no resolve. Is this right, moral, just, reasonable, or equitable? I am second guessing on this, but I suspect the Commission's mandate will be focused on, and I put this in quotes, physical human trafficking, similar to Mr. Epstein's business practices. And that is most important, I agree. However, if one were to compare the physical human trafficking, and I mean no disrespect for those that are harmed physically, to the entire nation being financially trafficked as human capital for profit, though there may be no physical scars, there are a multitude of manipulated scars. If you look into how a bank loan is created and then someone loses a home, financial problems within families, abortion, baby parts for sale, drugs, healthcare, all this angst, problems, worries, wars, etc. over private debt credit that can never be paid, where private bankers sit back and collect real assets in exchange for worthless paper, and that's in quotes, seems quite immoral and, in my opinion, foolish, since no one upon exit of planet Earth takes a penny or anything except one's own conscience upon meeting his maker. I hope you do not think I am some nut job. I do understand to some degree why the system is in place. There are bad people out there, and controls must be in place. However, it seems the ones controlling have an incentive that goes well beyond protecting society, and that is of grave concern. Overall, I am asking this Commission to review the Federal Reserve Act carefully and see if this private concern has run its course, and to recommend to the powers that be to free we the people by ending the Federal Reserve. If this is too touchy a subject for the Commission on a broad level, it is understandable, though I do not agree. However, I will then ask for more specifically, perhaps on an individual level, if the Commission can recommend to create a federal agency to open a door for those looking for post limine, thus rebutting the presumption of surety or U.S. citizen. This could be a first step and greatly appreciated to both the benefit of the habitant and the United States, as the national debt, even in a small way, can go down. It is to be noted the current system is internal. There is no lawful money as mandated under the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1. Only U.S. currency, to the specific point, only debits and credits. To increase the national debt is pure insanity. Please know I have written a short version without providing more cites, as I can go on in regard to this subject matter. Obviously, I cannot match legal wits with the Commission, and this correspondence should not be taken to that level. I suspect and hope the Commission sees the sincerity and accepts the overall importance. Along with an acknowledgement of receipt of this correspondence, a response no later than 30 days, I greatly appreciate your thoughtful review of the subject matter for the benefit of all of us. Please feel free to contact me by phone or email for further discussion on this matter. And I sent a copy of this to Donald Trump with a nice letter, how wonderful and he's the best. And I just want to give you that certified number, 70143490000096769647, and that was mailed October 15th, and it was delivered. So what I did was I attached certain sites to this, and we can go over them if I can go quickly. First of all, Senate Report 93-5-549, dated November 19th, 1973. I won't read them, I'll just go over them. 40 Stat 411, 40 Stat 450.